Welcome along, welcome to Silverrun Forest Farm. We are here with Jake and Paige at the beginning of October. It's just gone 8 in the morning, but Jake feels like he's been up for hours. He's got a million things going on. There's been a bunch happening around town since we were last here, and of course, as he's long been expecting, the crops have ripened. So we've got two cornfields that we need to get the corn off. And whilst he took the truck down to the one by the water in the other episode, he decided that actually the best field to start with might be this one down here. So he's already ferried the harvester down this morning. He's just bought the chaser wagon down with it, which we'll leave sitting here on the side for when we need it. But as you can see, the crop is looking terrific, so it should be good yields. And let's just jump in and get on with it, and I'm sure Jake can catch you up as we go. But basically both cornfields are ready to harvest. 2 of the 3 fields of sugar beet are ready, and the 3rd one won't be far away. And thankfully the sunflowers are not quite, the soybeans are not quite ready. So we've got that to do. The fields we planted last time with the oats have struck, so they're looking pretty good. The only thing, as expected, is we've got some weeds through, so we really need to maybe later on in the day get down there and start getting some weeding happening. But as programs go, that's kind of the main work we've got to be going on with. He's not done anything to progress the plan to put the to get started with the ice cream production that'll go on the field just to our left here. You can see where we sort of just dropped the trees last time. He's not done anything with those at all. And that's all down to the big happenings that have been in town that we've kind of been wondering and speculating about for a while. Well, things have gone frankly crazy, and you might get a bit of a flavour for it looking up ahead there just in the distance. Whilst you might not remember it, I mean, Jake's around here every day, but the skyline has definitely changed a little bit. So we used to have a BGA. So you'll recall a year or so ago that the long story, if you never sort of caught up on Jake's history, was that we took advantage of an opportunity to lease a little bit of ground just beside the new sawmill and put a BGA in, so we had somewhere to process our sugar beet. And so we did that, and that was, you know, worked out nicely, but we didn't have much of a sugar beet crop. So really this year was going to be our first year for doing that. Anyway, since then, of course, there was the fire and the lightning strike that burnt down the roller coaster and a good part of the new sawmill, and then a bit more recently, having just sort of cleaned the site up, they the investors that own the land there basically sold off the building that was on it, just stripped it down and carted it away. And through his contact, Buff, they sort of started feeling Jake out about the BGA and, you know, would he be interested in selling, and, you know, a whole bunch of things. And it didn't seem to really be going anywhere. Anyway, that seriously fired up in the last month. You might as well unload while we're coming past here. So anyway, the long and the short of it was that the investment company liked what Jake had done with the BGA, but they wanted to industrialise that on a much bigger scale. So they were keen to sort of get Jake out of it so that they could put their own facility in. They felt that was much more in keeping with the area, and there was a big opportunity for a more seriously sized operation. So they have in fact put that in right alongside and it sort of fits in with the power distribution grid that was already on that site, which was spared from the fire. So they put a big BGA in. They bulldozed Jake's, and as part of the sort of the compensation and the deal, Jake had let it be known that he was, you know, expanding into ice cream and the like. And so they said, well, how about as a sweetener, we build you a bigger facility for cows that'll enable you to run a much bigger herd than you currently do, and you'll have to pay for all of that, of course, but we'll throw up a building and a yard, and we'll give you a 20-year lease on access to it. And the only requirement that we'll have is we'll call it square with your BGA, and we'll require you to sell at a commercial rate any of the byproducts and waste from the cows operation into the biogas facility we're going to construct alongside. Now, given Jake's already running some cows, he thought that was a pretty interesting proposition without knowing too much about what they had in mind. And all he was really interested in was somewhere to sell his sugar beet, which he gets as well. And the pricing seems pretty good. The facility hasn't completely commissioned, but as you can see from the three big fermenter stacks over there, it's largely complete. And if we've got time later, we might head over and have a look at what they've got going there. So basically, he gets a cow barn of, you know, several times larger than what he has up at the main house, down in the midst, right alongside his field. So that's kind of convenient, really close to facilities that he can use, and in fact much shorter distance to travel the milk. So as far as Jake was concerned, it looked like a bit of a winner, and he was astonished at how fast they've brought it all together. So all Jake has to do is stock it and figure out how to feed them. So given we've got a whole bunch of all the product on store, where he was planning to sell bales, he's now thinking, I don't want to be doing that. Maybe I want to be putting some of this money we've set aside into some cows. What we might do here is get to the corner there and empty again. But yeah, we'll go a lot more seriously into the milk business. So that's kind of the core of the happening. They've put a couple of other facilities there Jake doesn't know much about. They mentioned in the last time we spoke that they were, all the rumors around town were this thing called an intermodal business, which is kind of like a depot to connect the train to road transport. Well, they seem to have kind of done something like that. There's some really big pieces of equipment there. Oh, looks like we're just about full here. So what we can do is we'll run down to the truck, which is parked down the end there. Actually, what we might do, what angle do we want to run this field at? I reckon we probably want to run it down this side. So what we might do is get our friend help us out. We might as well empty this lot straight into the truck. Probably could have done that in the first instance, but this way we've just got a little bit more capacity here at the field. But yeah, there's kind of like a depot arrangement and some equipment for moving the big containers and loading them onto trains and all that sort of stuff. So be interesting to see. At the moment, Jake can't figure that has anything to do with us. Come on, let's get around there. Whoops. So we'll just have to wait and see, but it's certainly the site looks a lot different than it did a couple of months back. Good for the town, all in all. And if we have a look at our selling prices, whilst we didn't make anything out of our BGA really at all, now if we go to cut sugar beet, we'll see that the new plant's paying about 300, goes up as high as 370, so that's a good price, better than just straight, you know, $100 better than straight sugar beet. So the same strategy for us will work fine. But in addition, we've now got a second place to sell silage if we don't like the market, although our cows are going to eat a heap more. And so let's just run up the other end. We'll top you off when he turns around again. And then we can run down that silo and drop this in. I don't think corn's going to be selling at a price we want to take advantage of today. Whoops. Let's go up there. Corn, we've still got a heap in the side. No, we're got to wait till January to get rid of our corn. But all in all, lots of stuff happening. And of course, we got, just to make life doubly challenging, we've potentially got rain on the way. So no shortage of things for us to be doing. We'll just fit them in. At least these fields are a good size without being oversized. So we'll fit them in as we can. And we'll work around the showers with our weeding, I think. But it's only a short run down to the silo. So this should be pretty straightforward from here. We won't be doing the sugar beet today. If the weather comes in, we might organise the equipment we need from the shop. But that'll be a next time activity, Jake's thinking. But yeah, as we come up here, if you look out overhead, you can see that sort of freight transfer yard they've constructed in front of us with a big piece of equipment. Got no idea what that's called. Moving those big containers, even a heap of containers in already. And this is obviously the fuel factory here making biofuels, and the cereal factory. These have been here for a few months. The Agco dealership, where another nice Gleaner in the doorway there, and plenty of older equipment and new equipment hanging around, and the harvester we want to be borrowing. So plenty of stuff happening. So we started with 55,000. We'll concentrate on getting this corn off, but hopefully before the rain comes, and then we can run over and see where they're up to with this new cow shed that they promised. And they've been talking to Jake about. It looks like a pretty decent size facility over there. So, and certainly the biogas plant they've built's huge. So looking a bit different. Coming off this field pretty well, which is no great surprise. Just got the word from our combine driver that he's almost full, so timing's pretty good also. For those of you that are new, haven't seen Jake harvest before, the backstory on his harvester, it was Paige's grandfather's, and Paige's dad's a mechanic, and between her grandfather and her dad, they restored it and shipped it up along with the Allis that's towing the chaser wagon. So bit of family history here, which Jake just loves, and it helps out Paige and Jake big time when they were setting up. Why have you stopped all of a sudden? Here we go. Jake's feeling pretty good about the fact that he's not having to deal with trees for a little while. Felt like fairly endless winter prepping all these fields, and now that he can see the crops that he's put into them, feeling pretty good about how the farms come along. Just hoping we've got enough days to get all the crop in. So if we can get all the corn in today, we should be in good shape, because these are definitely the biggest fields. Once we get onto the hillside, of course, that potentially going to take longer, but at least the fields are just a fraction smaller. So far so good, because we're well on track to get this one done by lunchtime. We'll empty this combine on this run down the field. And then pretty much what's left here should fit in the combine. Let's just drop that in the back there. And we can top it up with what's in the auger wagon. Whoops. $40,000 litres of corn already is a terrific place to start, because we've got our biggest field still to come. So nice little payday coming at the end of the year. We've got to try and avoid getting distracted this year and actually sell it at the top of the market. Mind you, we've got a couple of choices now with both the biodiesel plant and the cereal factory, so it'll be interesting to see what the price comparison's like. So the cereal factory seems to pay slightly better, and the price curve just sort of picks up now over the next 3 months. So we'll see how we go, but at 100,000 plus litres of corn is definitely a nice spot to be. Here comes the rain, so that's going to be the end of the harvesting for the moment. We'll just have to wait and see how long this shower lasts. Might as well empty you out, I guess. And that way we're ready to start back. Because there's still a little bit of crop on here. Now let's have a look at the weather. It's going to go to the best part of 2 o'clock, so now's a good time to go and get started on our weeding. And we might grab the Kubota for the weeding. We know we need the hoe, which I am pretty sure is in the garage here. Yep, back there behind the cedar. I spy it. Let's head on down and see what's what. We might do the little triangle of land by the water just quickly first, and then get one of the riding school guys going on either this sawmill field, which might need a new name given there's no sawmill there anymore. That's that field on the left, and you can see the weeds in what we call bigger field 2. There we go. And of course our cornfield over there looks fabulous. We'll come and tackle that when the rain stops. For now, let's run around here. Should be able to get this one done pretty quick. Not too many weeds in this field. He was talking about combining this with the cornfield and expanding the cornfield closer to the water. At this stage, probably just go with the expansion of the cornfield. Nobody seems to be objecting to that at the moment. But also, if we expand the amount of cows we run, we're going to need a bit more grassland. So we had grass in the cornfield last summer. It might be worth running it as a meadow completely for a couple of seasons, just till we get on top of what it will take to run a bigger cow operation. And these little spring blades just pull them just nicely. Fines, I suppose you would say. Just coming up to the last couple of bits in our little triangle patch here. Almost done. In fact, one more turn should do it by the looks. And there we go. We'll go and get our helper set out up over here. Let's have a look what sort of course we can get them to do. Just one. So let's do a 6th. Generate the course. That looks pretty good. And if we start you there. We're pretty much going to start right in front of us. Meanwhile, we can run up and have a look at what's been constructed for us up here. So Jake hasn't had to do much specifying at all. He just wanted to run cows, and these guys don't do anything by halves. So they've taken out the fence to our field, given we're going to have access to it for a bunch of time. And this is the facility. So it's pretty big, holds 240 cows, makes plenty of milk, plenty of food, straw. It's got a big underground slurry tank which they very kindly put in, and a big manure pit, a nice outdoor area for the cows. So, and a little bit of road access at this end. You can see what they've been working on. There's still a little bit of work to go on the yard here, and I don't know, well, this area apparently we're allowed to use. If we want to put something in it, we can. This is apparently some sort of warehousing organisation. Jake doesn't know much about them. Hasn't been much word, nothing much happened. A couple of containers were delivered and a little warehouse built, but that's about all. So we need to organise some feed in here, which we might do next time, and then see if we can get some cows in. They can apparently be shipped in pretty easy, same way as we bought them in the beginning. And that the plan the guys have is to set some sort of transport operation for livestock up at the end, but don't know where that's going to lead. For now, we might just leave our guy here and go and get a bite to eat while we wait for this rain to stop. It's coming up on 20 to 3 and it is still raining. So I'm hoping still that it will clear at some time shortly, but it's not looking good for getting that other cornfield. And you can hear the storm still rumbling away in the background. Have a look at the weather report. It says it should have cleared by now, but we're still going, so nothing of course we can do about it. Our weeding is still continuing over on the sawmill field, so we're taking some advantage of it. You can see on this field, interestingly, the yield is pretty good. Jake is quite pleased. So if we have a look, so where are we? Most of this field is somewhere around the 120 mark with occasional patches of 125%. So pretty handy yield. So that explains why we're getting so much corn out. Gleaner's getting a good wash, but not much harvesting being done. Or maybe that break in the clouds is just what we need. Who knows? Is it just wishful thinking? Finally, the rain has stopped, so we can get back underway and finish getting this crop in. Just getting the last little bits here. As you can see, just a little triangle left in the fields. So we should certainly have enough daylight to knock out a couple of headlands on the waterfront field and just sort of see where we're up to with the weeding. Just the last little bit. So thankfully that rain hasn't been too much of a problem. And with any luck, we can just take advantage of the little cut through to the meadow and just sort of duck across without having to take the header off the harvester. So hopefully there won't be too much traffic around. Only a little short street over there, and if we duck just around the end of the pond here, there is a little bit of traffic. If we duck around like so, not super wide. I mean, we're not legal, but as long as animals don't dive out in front of us like the deer. And we can just hop into the end of our field here. And away we go. Might just run down the other end while we're here. And then we can go back and get the trucks and the auger wagon. Let's just see what the yields, must say the yields actually looking pretty darn good off this field as well. So I think we're going to have a bumper corn harvest, which is terrific. It just means we won't get round a full lap. You can see our weeder is still progressing over there in the disc. Just see it occasionally, that flash of orange between the heads of the corn on the other side. It might seem a bit easier when we come around the corner. But this is that stripe down there is looking like a tremendous yield. But looking at the weather and all things considered, I think this is where we might leave Jake today. He's powering through this. He won't finish this field. We'll probably have a little bit to get off last time, and hopefully next time, and hopefully he'll won't get interrupted at the start of his day, and then can't be many more things that investment crowd want to get into in town, so things should settle down and just get on with it with any luck. But for now, thank you very much for watching, and until next time, stay safe. See ya.